All right, so I've been playing the Vortex Warrior deck for about 2 weeks or so, and it's safe to say that I am absolutely loving this deck. This is something that I could see myself playing in the 2025 competitive season, but I wanted to share a deck list with everyone, something basic that anyone can copy and adjust to their own playstyle. And I'll be giving some different options along the way. So we will start with the eggs. And for my egg, I chose starter deck Fluffymon. So when attacking once per turn, you may suspend one other Digimon with as much or less DP as this Digimon. And so there's 3 different scenarios that happen with this. So first is you suspend one of your opponent's bodies. Second is you suspend one of yours. Or third, you just don't use this effect at all. And it's pretty even across the board on any of those 3 scenarios on what happens. None are prevalent more than the other. If you suspend your own Digimon, that facilitates some of your combos, which that's what I really like about this card, especially in this combo heavy deck. But if that's not your playstyle, you maybe want something a little more aggressive. There is another Fluffymon, which is the EX7 Fluffymon. Your turn, once per turn, when this Digimon deletes your opponent's Digimon in battle, gain 1 memory. This isn't a bad effect at all. This is actually pretty good if you're one of those people who you can want to keep swinging. But I do have some other Digimon with pretty much the same effect in the deck already. And that additional 1 memory doesn't come up too often for me to warrant playing this instead of the other Fluffy. So I choose the combo Fluffy, and I'm playing 4 of it. I'm not doing any additional ratios of the starter deck or the EX7 and the EX7. I want, for consistency reasons, to make sure that I see the egg that I need for the way that my deck is built. Obviously, if you play the other Fluffy, your deck may be built just a little bit different. And then going on into the level 3s. So I'm playing 3 of the EX7 Terramon. So this is the Digivolution cost reduction for the deck. All of the Liberator decks are getting something with this effect. And this is the one for Vortex Warriors. So inherited effect is all turns once per turn. When this Digimon deletes an opponent's Digimon in battle, gain 1 memory. So this is a great way to gain memory with one of your level 6s that is a blocker. A lot of times your opponents do forget that this is all turns. This doesn't happen too often, but when it does happen, it's great. I love it. And I'm only playing 3 of these, but I could see myself playing 4. This is definitely the card that I want to open in my hand and Digivolve in the back. But I do play another card that I want to open, which is the starter deck Terramon, which is your generic searcher for the deck. So this card, when played, searches an avian or bird, and then it searches a Vortex Warrior or Liberator, which that's the majority of your deck. So this allows your deck to be, for the most part, searchable. It's worth noting that Zephagamon is a bird, a Vortex Warrior, and a Liberator. So if you end up drawing or revealing 2 Zephagamon or Zeph and a Medi, you can get both of those because Zephagamon does meet the requirement of being either a bird, Vortex Warrior, or Liberator. And I play 4 of this, but if I wanted to play another of the EX7 Terramon, I could see myself cutting this by 1 and playing 3 and then 4 of the EX7. And that, again, player preference. But ideally, you want to see 1 of these 2 Terramons in your hand in your opening turn. So going on to the rest of the level 3s, I play 2 of the starter deck Muchomon. All turns once per turn, when an effect suspends this Digimon, one of your Digimon with Avian, Bird, or Vortex Warriors gains 3k DP until the end of your opponent's turn. And so the 3k being until the end of your opponent's turn is really good. A lot of the DP gains on this effect are only for your turn or until the end of the turn. So that little extra on your level 6s that are already kind of low on the DP end to begin with is very important. The inheritable for this is piercing. Oh, you know what? I forgot. The inheritable on this Terramon is 2k DP during your turn, which is what I was talking about. That extra DP is, for the most part, during your turn. Now, with this Muchomon, this is one of your combo cards. So Vortex is at the end of your turn, one of your Digimon can attack. So when you have a Digimon with Vortex already on the field, and maybe you need to get rid of a body that's bigger than it, you can, for example, hard play the Muchomon, hopefully passing turn over to your opponent, triggering Vortex. And if whatever that Digimon is has Fluffymon under, when attacking, it can suspend the Muchomon, triggering the DP gain for Muchomon. So that's one way to use it. You have a bunch of ways of suspending the Muchomon, so that never becomes an issue. The main thing is that you don't always need the Muchomon, and so sometimes it will be a dead card in your hand. Sometimes it's the only Digimon that you are Digivolving in the breeding area because that's all you have, and it's not an amazing inheritable. But if you wanted to play something else like a Floodgate, or I've seen some people play the Palmon that gives your opponent's Digimon -2 memory when it's suspended, this is where I would replace that if I were doing it. Anything that you want to replace as far as level 3s, this Muchomon is probably going to be what you take out for it. And then we're going to go on to our next level 3, or our final level 3, which is Promo Terramon. So this card is a bit expensive. I can see why, though. It is such a good effect on play, suspend one of your opponent's Digimon. There's no restriction to that. And a lot of these effects, there is no restriction. It's just really easy to play this Terramon. Vortex does have to swing into a suspended Digimon, so if you don't have a way to get that Digimon suspended before you can Vortex, again, just hard playing the Terramon gets you there. I only play 2, though, because I don't want to see this in my opening hand. It's great to get it off a search or draw into it. It's really good for late game things, but at the start of your turn, or at the start of the game, you really don't want this to be the rookie that you draw in your opening hand. Inherited effect is plus 2k DP for your turn, but I'm very rarely Digivolving on top of this. If anything, I'm hard playing it or playing it off of an effect. Going on to our level 4s, we're going to play 3 of all of our level 4s, but I'll show you where you could play 4 of if you wanted to. And we're going to start with Promo Gelmon. So by suspending one of this Digimon, or by suspending one Digimon, this Digimon gets plus 2k DP until the end of your opponent's turn. Very often you are Digivolving into this, so you do get that effect pretty consistently. And then your turn, while you have Shoto, this Digimon gains Piercing. I don't think I've ever used that effect. If I have, it's so rare that I don't even remember. Inherited is plus 2k. And then let's see. Oh, that's its when Digivolving. Okay, so next up is EX7 Gelmon. So this plays Shoto if you have 1 or fewer Tamers when Digivolving. Inherited is all turns, once per turn. This Digimon deletes your opponent's Digimon in battle, gain 1 memory. So again, that combos really well with the EX7 Terramon. And then this is probably my favorite of the Gelmon. So this is another promo. And on play when Digivolving, suspend 1 Digimon. Then if it's your turn, this Digimon may Digivolve into a bird or avian. For every other suspended Digimon, reduce this effect's Digivolution cost by 1. Inherited is this Digimon gains 2k DP. So being an on-play effect, and this Digimon's only 4 costs to play, this is really good if you don't have any level 3s in hand, but you want to make some sort of play. Vortex does allow you to attack the turn the Digimon is played, so sometimes it's beneficial to just hard play this, suspend one of your opponent's Digimon, and then Digivolve into the level 5, hopefully for a reduced cost of 2 or 3 or anything along those lines. But if you see yourself wanting to play 4 of this Gelmon, you can absolutely cut one of these other promo Gelmons. Same goes for the EX7 Gel. This is probably the Gelmon that I would cut to make room for any of the others. And then we're going to go on to our level 5s. So the inheritable for all of our level 5s is the same, which for consistency reasons I love. But the actual when Digivolving effects are what makes a difference in how you play the deck. So we'll start with EX7 Grand Gelmon. This does have Vortex, but I don't ever really use that effect too often. Really, it's its when digivolving effect that I'm playing it for, and that's you may suspend one Digimon. If the effect suspended your Digimon, well, then this Digimon is unaffected by your opponent's Digimon effects until the end of their turn. So this is really good if you have the ace in hand and you want to safely go into that. It's probably why I play 4 of this over the other one, because you do draw into the ace really well. This is also really good at surviving until your next turn, so you can go into one of your level 6s. So the protection from other Digimon effects is very important right now. And the inheritable is when this Digimon attacks your opponent's Digimon, this Digimon may unsuspend. So that's really good for getting multiple hits in one turn. And you can combo this with other cards to declare an attack on your opponent's Digimon, unsuspend, and then redirect that attack to your opponent's security, and then attack again. So you have a few different ways that you can use that effect, but I really like that all of my level 5s do have that same inheritable. So we're playing 4 of that Grand Gale and then 3 of the starter deck Grand Gale. So this one doesn't have Vortex, but its effect is on play and when digivolving. However, I don't really hard play this too often. I have done it a couple times and then I was heavily punished for it. But on play when digivolving, suspend one Digimon. If this effect suspends your Digimon, you may play a bird or avian with 3k DP or less without paying the cost. So if you want to play the Searcher Terramon and get more searches off, if you want to play the Muchamon or the Promo Terramon, this is a really good card for getting those combos started. And even though this doesn't have protection, there is still ways for it to get its own protection, and which we'll discuss when we go into the level 6s, which we're going to start the level 6s with the EX7 Zephagamon. So we only play one of this. It is a really strong card when it hits the field, though. The longer it stays on the field, the less value you get long term. But that doesn't mean that it's bad at all. It's just something that it hits really hard when it hits when you digivolve into it. So security attack +1 and Vortex. Vortex is at the end of your turn, this Digimon may attack an opponent's Digimon. With this effect, it can attack the turn it was played. The Digimon does have to be suspended for Vortex to work, by the way. That's kind of one of the key things. And suspending your opponent's Digimon before Vortex can trigger is kind of difficult sometimes when you're already at level 6. Whereas your level 4s, your Terramon promos, Grand Gales, if you have to, they all can suspend your opponent's Digimon. So it's not hard when you're digivolving up into your level 6 to suspend your opponent's bodies. It's just once the card's on the field, it gets a little more difficult. Once the level 6 is on the field, it gets a little more difficult. So when digivolving, when attacking, this Digimon may suspend one... I'm sorry, let me rephrase that, or redo that. So when digivolving, when attacking, suspend one Digimon. If this effect suspended your Digimon, return one of your opponent's suspended Digimon to the bottom of the deck. When you are digivolving into this, you can suspend one of your opponent's Digimon. And then if, turns passed over, you can use Vortex to attack. And if you suspend one of your Digimon, well, then you can bottom deck that same Digimon. So that's one way to use this effect. But of course, once it stays on the field, it's kind of hard to suspend your opponent's body and yourself with Zephagamon's effect. So you do have to kind of think of ways to get rid of your opponent's board if this Digimon is still on the field, maybe a turn or two later. A lot of times it doesn't remain on the field that long, but the security +1 and the Vortex and the when digivolving and when attacking effects really stack up to the moment this card hits the field, you are probably doing a lot of damage and probably clearing a big board if you have to. All right, we're going to move on to the other level 6. We actually play a lot of level 6s in this deck. So this is a starter deck Zephagamon. This thing's a beast, by the way. So this is kind of the Digimon you're going to go into the most often through Digivolution. And this also has Vortex. This has when digivolving, suspend one Digimon, then unsuspend one. All turns, when any Digimon unsuspends, for the turn this Digimon is unaffected by the effects of your opponent's Digimon and gets plus 3k DP. So you can suspend your own Digimon and then unsuspend this. You could suspend your opponent's and unsuspend this. You could just suspend this and then unsuspend it. For all these suspending effects, you can target a Digimon that is already suspended, just to, whiff that effect if you don't have any targets that you want to suspend yourself. But for the most part, if worst comes to worst, you just suspend yourself and then unsuspend. And you can use this for the protection, but you can use this for the protection on your turn. But you can also suspend one of your opponent's Digimon and leave it on the field. And then when it unsuspends during their active phase, you gain the 3k DP and the protection as well. So that's one interesting way to use this. But let's see here. We're going to, you know what? And this is really good with Muchomon. So if you go into the starter deck Grand Gale, suspend it to play a Muchomon, and then you go into this Zephagamon, you can suspend the Muchomon for the DP gain, and then you can unsuspend the Zephagamon that was suspended by Grand Gale's effect. So that is one way to do this. There's another bunch of different combos of suspending your own stuff and then unsuspending itself, but it's really up to you to kind of look at the board state and see what's going to be the best for you. All right, and then we play 2 Medieval Gallantmon. This card's just all around good. This has when this card would be played by suspending 2 Digimon, reduce the play cost by 4. You do have to suspend 2 Digimon, so it doesn't work by just suspending 1. But a lot of times you will have the bodies to do it. You can do yours, your opponents, and mix and match. That's up to you. This has Alliance and Vortex. And then when Digivolving, you may suspend 1 Digimon. Then you may delete one of your opponent's 8k DP or lower Digimon. For each other suspended Digimon, add 3k to the maximum, to the DP maximum for the deletion effect. So some key numbers to note is 3 other suspended Digimon is 17k DP, so you can get rid of really big bodies like that. And you'll see situations where you have 1 or 2 bodies and your opponent has 1 or 2 bodies as well, and it's really easy to get yourself up to at least 17k DP for deletion. Now, all turns, once per turn, when Digimon are played, you may activate one of this Digimon's when Digivolving effects. Very important to remember that if it's your opponent's turn and they play Digimon, you also get that effect as well, so that's some deletion, but they do have to resolve all of their when playing effects. All right, and then we go on to the last level 6, kind of the key card of the deck here, which is the Zephagamon Ace. So this has the Blast Digivolve, which when your opponent's attacking during the attack, you can Digivolve into this. And all turns, when any Digimon is suspended, this Digimon may unsuspend. A lot of times you're going to use that to get double attacks off this thing. Don't forget with Grand Galemon, you can unsuspend when you are attacking a Digimon. This also has Piercing, Vortex, and Blocker. So this is just a really good card all around. And then on play or when Digivolving, you may suspend 1 Digimon. Then for every 2 suspended Digimon, you may return 1 of your opponent's suspended Digimon to the bottom of their deck. And so one combo that I like to do is with this Grand Galemon, suspend itself to play the Terramon that suspends one of your opponent's Digimon. And then we'll Digivolve into the Zephagamon Ace, suspending the Terramon if you have nothing on your opponent's side of the field that you could suspend. And you can bottom deck, in this case, up to 2 Digimon on your opponent's side of the field if they have at least 2 bodies themselves already there, suspended, of course. And again, that's not hard to reach. You'll find getting to where you can bottom deck 2 Digimon on your opponent's side of the field is really common. I wouldn't say easy, but definitely common. And of course, this has overflow -4. So once this leaves the field, you're going to lose 4 memory. And that's why you like the protection from Grand Galemon. All right, so we're going to go to our Tamers. We are playing 2 of the starter deck Shoto, which is the memory setter. And then your turn, when any of your Digimon attack your opponent's Digimon, by suspending this Tamer, you may change the attack target to another of your opponent's Digimon or a player. And so with this Shoto, it was a pretty common combo when this deck first got announced to use this Shoto to close out games. So Vortex, swing at your opponent's Digimon, use Shoto to redirect at their life if they have no more security. And with Vortex, you can hard play, for example, this Zephagamon if you have at least one memory, and then Vortex at your opponent's Digimon. But the difficult thing is they had to have a suspended Digimon in order to use Vortex. And we're going to go on to the next Shoto. So this is EX7 Shoto. We're playing 3 of these. Start of your main phase, if your opponent has a Digimon, gain 1 memory. And then end of your turn, by suspending this Tamer, one of your Digimon gains piercing and blocker until the end of your opponent's turn. If it has the Vortex Warriors trait, it unsuspends. So this is really good at, after you've done all of your attacks, unsuspending your Digimon in order to give it some sort of protection from being attacked into. Now, of course, if your opponent has raid or anything like that, well, no way around that unless you give blocker to one of your other kind of smaller bodies. And a lot of times you'll find yourself having multiple of these Shoto out, at least 2. I don't think I've ever had 3 out, but definitely 2. And so you can give multiple things blocker. And then the final Tamer, which I do want to find a way to make room for this. I may take out one of the option cards that we're going to talk about in a bit for one more of these, but is the new BT20 Shotomon. So start of your main phase, by returning this Tamer to the bottom of the deck, you may play 1 Shoto from your hand without playing the cost. Then if you don't have a Digimon, so if you have none on the field, you may play a level 3 Digimon card with avian or bird and its traits from your trash without paying the cost. End of turn, by suspending this Tamer, suspend one of your opponent's Digimon until the end of their turn. One of your Digimon with the Vortex Warrior trait gets 2k DP. Now, this is really good because it's a lot easier with this Shoto to trigger Vortex, and it also gives your Digimon a little bit of DP boost there that lasts until the end of your opponent's turn. So that's why I want to play 2 of these. The start of main phase effect, I think I've only used it once, and it wasn't bad, but the end of your turn effect is just so good. And then the green memory boost, so we're playing 2 of these. I could see myself taking one of these out for another Shoto. Reveal top 4 cards, add a green Digimon. Delay, gain 2 memory. Green Scramble, it digivolves one of your green Digimon, or your green Digimon into a green Digimon with a reduced cost of 3. And then start of your turn, it has the delay, return 1 green Digimon card from your trash to the top of your deck. And if you don't have a Digimon, you may play 1 green Digimon card with 2k DP or less from your trash without paying the cost. And then finally, we're playing, so those 2 green scrambles, and we're playing 4 agility training. So I can also take one of these out to make room for another BT20 Shoto. But agility training, reveal top 2 cards of your deck, add 1 green card to your hand, and then delay one of your Digimon may digivolve into a green Digimon card in your hand with the Digivolution cost reduced by 2. And so this is the deck. There are a few changes that I'm going to be making as I play a bit more, but I will probably talk about those in whatever videos I showcase those changes in. And keep an eye out because I'll also be doing a combo video for this deck as well, hopefully this week. So thanks for watching, guys.